right, welcome to From the Ground Up. I'm John Boitnott, a longtime reporter at Grit Daily, and I do this show every so often here, talking to some of the entrepreneurs in our community who are making a big difference in the world. And this time around on From the Ground Up, we have Fiona Scott, who is a PR maven in England. And Fiona, it's Scott PR, right? That's your company?
Scott Media.
Scott Media. Now, you have a lot going on. You are working with clients, but you are, well, first of all, give us the background on how you got involved in PR and sort of working with journalists and working with people who want to get out into the media. How did you get involved with PR? Because there's a lot of people out there and a lot of people who come to Grit Daily who just, this is an area of concern for them, and you're the perfect person to get some advice.
Oh,
so, let's hear about your background.
Right. Okay, well, I've been a journalist for, getting on for 40 years now. So, yeah, I really am that old.
Me too.
I had a long career. I'm older. I had a long career in newspapers and television and dealt with PR people that whole time. And some were excellent. The majority were not. I think that's fair to say in my experience then. And then I was made redundant 16 years ago from my TV job. And like many people, I had a family and loved ones and responsibilities, and I had to make a choice. So I decided to become the PR person that I wanted to deal with when I was a full-time journalist. And that's how it came about. And I sort of, here I am, running an agency in the southwest of the UK, working with anyone that I like.
That's wonderful, and you do a great job with it. And when you work with people who you like, that means that you end up with more relationships that are maybe more healthy and work a little bit better. And I mean, and that's the thing about, well, there's so much I want to say because you're kind of like a kindred spirit to me, because I was a journalist. I still like to call myself that, writing for Entrepreneur and writing for Grit Daily and Business to Community, a few other sites. But I was made redundant. I mean, as they say, you end up. Well, if you haven't really worked for media unless you've been fired from media. I've been fired from radio. I've been fired from, but not because I was bad or anything. They didn't need me anymore. But so holding on, still riding the waves and trying to find places to write. But to the point about PR, this is something that anyone who runs a company now wants to know more about or wants to do better. And so I would say one of the questions that's big on my mind is, what are some of the some of the things that make for a good relationship that you have with your clients that you really enjoy working with?
Well, I think now that I've been in the business a long time, I have a really clear upfront process where I guide would-be clients, and I'm really clear and honest about how I work. So I think of myself as a grassroots journalist, and the only difference for me is who pays the bills. And in this case, is small business owners or medium-sized business owners, or bigger businesses where I'm training in-house. I'm training their team, because what I found over the years is small business owners often don't realize how interesting they are or how many stories they've got. Or they fall under another camp where they think they're dead interesting and they're quite deluded around where their stories fit, frankly. Or we get marketing teams. I find we have marketing teams who are very corporate, and there's nothing wrong with that. They've been trained in a certain way, but they avoid media outreach because it scares them, because they can't control the media. So I look to educate people first. And, I have some clients now that probably stalked me for a year or two before they committed, and I would rather they do that and they understand what good PR looks like than they go off and spend thousands of pounds a month with a company that's just going to blow smoke at them or make it all smoke and mirrors. It isn't smoke and mirrors. It's about storytelling consistently in the right place and being realistic about where your story fits.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I wanted to actually talk to you about, because you just mentioned how you let someone stalk you, for lack of a better word, for a year, and you would rather have them do that. That seems to me to be part of like you said, a storytelling philosophy where you go and you show how you are able to get people interested in what you have to say. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about that and why that's important, because I feel like that's an area that so many businesses struggle, and business owners and entrepreneurs struggle to understand. Tell me about because you have a way of gathering people to you online that I've noticed that's really effective. I'd love to hear you just talk about that whole aspect.
Well, one of the things when I started out was that in my own little world, if you like, I thought I needed to be a leader. So if I'm asking clients to do things to be visible, I should be doing them myself and trialing them myself and showing up and showing people. And also the other thing is many small business owners, and in fact, many business owners, regardless of size of business, they quickly go into sales speak, whether it's on their social media or on their website. Everything sounds like a polished commercial. And there are occasions when that's appropriate, maybe in an email newsletter, but most times people want to engage with people. They want to hear the reality. They want to hear the stories of the business. They want to know behind the scenes. We're nosy. And we develop an emotional connection by hearing all of those stories. And I think of it as a way of doing lots of things so that people choose to buy from you, not that you're selling at them. Nobody likes to be sold at. What they want is be able to find people at the moment they decide they need to buy that widget or buy that service. And the people I work with, if they don't get it when they start working with me, they're going to have got it by the end of the first year. And if they never get it, we won't be working together. I just think good PR companies is about looking at how you touch the public all of the time in all of the different ways. And it has to be lots of different ways. I just happen to specialize in the media, but as you know, John, there are loads of ways to get visible. Your website has to be good and it has to work. You have to answer the phone. You have to be visible on LinkedIn, or your key people do. You can go on podcasts. You can write a book. And these are all things that I have done. And I just run a small business. So there are no excuses. You've got to take it seriously.
I wonder how you manage your time, because you have so many irons on the fire, as they say over here on this side of the pond. I don't know if they say that over there in England, but
yeah.
But okay, yeah. But we probably like a lot of our best things, saying wise, we probably got it from you guys. But how do you manage your time? What are some sort of key things that you do to keep all of these, when you're juggling all the balls in the air? How do you manage all of that?
Do you know, it's no different than any other business that's scaling up. You have a team. It just happens that I have chosen that my team is an outsourced freelance team of trusted people, often other journalists, and they look at different aspects. So I have someone I have a small speaker platform in the UK, so I have someone that looks after that. I have a podcast, I have someone that looks after that. I have just started a YouTube channel, someone looks after that. So what I do is I have to guard my time, or frankly, I'm going nuts. There would be no time for me to be anything else other than Scott Media. And I want time. I've got a family. I've got things I want to do. So I will often save up and invest money in someone else's expertise in order to further my business.
Yeah. And then that could be someone like a personal assistant who helps to schedule. It can be, folks who execute social media strategy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Because Grit Daily is the site that this is going to be on. It also has a lot of freelancers who show up, or one person entrepreneurial teams who are trying to do too much. So that's very helpful for them. Okay, so let's get back into another question related to some of the difficulties around maybe a few little problem clients. Like, I know that there are some companies out there looking for PR, and so what are some things that they should keep in mind that they shouldn't do when they're working with a good PR person like yourself? Well, what are some? Yeah, they're just sort of talking about that.
Okay, there are a few red flags, and so
I'm trying to figure out a way to say it nicely. Just don't do X.
Yeah, I can give some red flags for people looking for a PR company, but I'll also give some red flags as someone. Yes, I've just learned over the years that if you're going to hire an expert, i.e. in PR or any other discipline, and you are a business owner or a senior management team who likes to tell an expert what to do, it isn't going to go well. So I do try and flush those people out really quickly. Yes. Also, the other thing is, often people will say, well, what will the return on investment be of PR? And I just think, I don't know. I'll get my crystal ball out, because PR is not sales. It's not sales. It's aligned, and you have to have an awareness of sales in any company. But you can have all the PR in the world. If you treat your customers badly, you don't answer the phone, your website doesn't work, there might be some really critical things wrong in your business that stops people buying from you. So the two things need to go together. It's PR and marketing, and sales is a separate discipline. So if you are sat there thinking that PR is suddenly going to bring millions of quid into your bank account, just forget it, because you're barking up the wrong tree. You really are. Go and buy a load of lead management stuff and try that, because it's not going to work with someone like me. Red flags if you're looking for a PR company, and these are the ones we have in the UK. So I'm making an assumption it might be similar. Right. Anyone who comes out with any kind of BS phrase like, I'll get your story in front of 400 journalists, okay, that's a big red flag. Because what that really means is they're taking your press release and they're spamming 400 journalists through a database. Okay. Now, if you're in California and employing an apprentice, I don't know if an apprentice or an intern, and that's going to loads of journalists across the whole of America, you are simply spamming them, and they don't like being spammed. So the next time your story comes through, they'll delete it without even looking at it. So that's one. The other one is, if anyone says to you, we'll create a lead magnet story, that's BS, okay? A lead magnet story is a non-story that's not a story. A lead magnet relates to a sales funnel, often on the internet only. So if you hear that, run a mile.
Yeah.
Is that helpful, John?
Oh, hugely helpful. There's a lot of people who definitely need that kind of help when they're looking for a PR person to work with. One thing that I know me and you talked about is how, you can be your own PR person too, and it's not. There are ways to do that. So I would love it if you could just talk for a minute or two about how can people be their own best PR person, whether it's mindset or actions that they can take.
Okay. You can DIY your own PR easily, and I train loads of people to do that, or I guide them just an hour at a time, and they self-deliver. First of all, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. That's the first thing. You have to have, and it can feel like licking your own ears, especially if you're a one man or woman band, to talk about yourself. But how are people going to know? How are you going to serve people if they don't know you exist? So the first thing is get it right in here that it's okay to tell your own stories, and have a tone of voice of humble, grateful, not arrogant. So humble, grateful. In the UK, with the UK media, if you've got an arrogant tone, that is not going to play well with the UK tone of voice. I do think, with my experience of America, that Americans are much more open to that. And I wish we were more in the UK. So we keep a humble and grateful tone. It also feels more comfortable, I think. And then you've got to just look for the stories in your business. Start local. Where are you based? So, in the town or city where you're based, start with your local media, because they want to write about local people and local businesses. Start there. If you want to be in the sector press, choose one or two publications, online or offline, and really look at the content they're putting out and thinking, well, I could fit there. And if you look at it and you think, well, they're all massive, big companies, I'm never going to fit there, you won't fit there. Okay, don't try and. There's no point wasting your time, energy, and budget somewhere where you just don't fit. Those are a few tips. And plan stories, plan across a year. Also, the other thing I teach people to do is called newsjacking. It's reactive stories. So if you were doing something and you were looking for small businesses owners to talk about how they manage their finances or anything like that, and I was someone in that space and I knew I could answer that question, I wouldn't be sending you a press release. I'd just be sending you a comment and say, if you want any more, get in contact with me. It's not always a press release that's required. And one really handy little tip is find where journalists hang out. And generally that'll be on twitter.x, Instagram, they can be on a lot more now, or even on LinkedIn, and follow them and wait for those moments where they say, I'm looking for this, that, or the other, or use the handy hashtag journo request on X regularly and click latest at the top and scroll through, and there'll be loads of it where a business owner will think that's rubbish, that's irrelevant. Well, yeah, it might be irrelevant and rubbish to you, but it won't be to somebody else. That's what you have to remember. So there's loads of different ways of doing your own PR, and the value is huge because generally any media outlet, especially those online, will have a much higher domain authority on their website than you will have. So it creates what I call Google juice that goes between your website and theirs.
Yeah.
And that is hugely valuable.
That sure is. Okay, so getting to some of our last questions here. What about a new client excites you most, or what type of client can make you the most interested in the relationship that's coming? And
yeah, I can answer that because I was thinking about this the other day. Actually, it's generally clients that have a higher purpose other than just making money. They're usually mission-led or heart-led in some way. And that has led me to have a variety and a mix of clients. So yes, they want to make money. Yes, they want to run a business that sustains them and their team, but they'll usually have a higher purpose. And that might be around sustainability, around community and charity, or simply around something. I'm working with a client now who's a Paralympian, and he's going to be going to, I hope, fingers crossed, to Paris, to the Paralympics. And I'm so excited about that. In fact, I've already booked tickets to go because I'm going to go and see
That's
it.
fantastic.
That will never happen again. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So those types of clients excite me because I can really get on board with that, because you want to be more. That's it. That's the key. You want to be more than your business.
That's fantastic. So speaking of things that excite you, what are you working on over the next several months here that you're most excited about coming up, just in general, for Scott Media?
Okay, so what am I doing? I am. We'll go into the Paralympics. I've mentioned that already. I've just launched Scott Media Speakers in the UK, which is a value add for my clients, an actual speaker platform, because in the UK we have speaker agencies for high ticket speakers, but everybody has to take the steps to become a high ticket speaker. So I've set one up for my clients that are lower ticket, that they want to grow and develop and experience of public speaking. So that's a work in progress. I'm going to start working on my second book. My first book came out last year called The Hard Yard, about my first 10 years in business. So that's exciting. And just spending more time with people that I like, who are my clients, many of whom are friends. Some I've worked with for more than 10 years. So I just get up on a Monday, and every day in work is joyful. It's hard work, but I'm working with people I like, and I just want more of that.
That's fantastic. I feel like that's an excellent lesson for all of us working in the entrepreneurial or PR marketing world, is working with people you enjoy, understanding that maybe it's hard work sometimes, but that you can have a good time with it as well. And also to give yourself a lot of time for, to recuperate and feel better and, keep coming back at it. Fiona Scott of Scott Media, wonderful to have you on From the Ground Up by Grit Daily. And I'll be talking to you soon, and hopefully seeing you in person in one of our conferences, hopefully, that we can both go to.
Oh, thank you very much, John. Thank you.
See you later.